Okay, it says it's starting. So last time it was doing this. Okay, there we go. We are live. Hello, everyone. Brooke's just getting her eyeballs. She needs them to be able to see or to keep her hair back. I can't tell which one.
Hi everyone, how you doing?
You needed your glasses, but they're on
Yep.
the top of your head.
That's right. Cool. They're ready when I need them.
Yeah.
Need
awesome.
them. Okay.
It is May 30th.
Holy smokes.
Tomorrow's the last day of May. It's spring here. The last couple days, it's been like 25, 26 degrees. The sun's been out. We're supposed to get maybe a little bit of rain tomorrow, but I think we are officially into the stretch of good weather.
That's right.
Which means that I need to get my gardening beds ready to go.
So I'm going to do some planting this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Transplanting. Yep.
Yeah.
This is the time because we're supposed to get a little rain this weekend and then nice heat next week. So this would be the window of opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
PEI does tend to be a little bit later in our planting seasons. I know even when I lived in Nova Scotia, like I was like almost a 6B.
Oh,
maybe even like I had like a 7 microclimate in my backyard.
Well,
so,
yeah, you were down in the valley of Nova Scotia.
Yeah, so it's been a big like transition to PEI where we're like a 5.
Yeah.
Right.
So the general rule here is for gardeners to plant on the May 2-4. We'll wait till after the May 2-4 weekend.
No, it's even like it's like the last full. It's like the full moon in June or something.
Oh,
like there's some weird little like ism.
Right. So June is a safe place to plant. I know last year I had some things out in the garden, the hardier stuff, and then I had some things that were more delicate in the greenhouse still until the ground is really warm and ready to receive. Yeah. But no, this year we shall see. I know even like last week we had a frost.
We had a big frost warning. Yeah.
So
I know that like I tend to be on like the school of hard knocks for my tomatoes. It's like, listen, kid, it's sink or swim. It's grow or die.
Well, they gotta blow in the wind. It's how the stalks get.
It's true, but I also just don't have the time to baby them.
No.
So only the hardiest tomatoes shall grow. They do fairly well.
No, they do fine. Honestly, tomatoes can be temperamental, but they're honestly like a kick-ass hardy vegetable.
Yeah.
Fruit. So today we're going to talk about kind of what you can expect in your first year after moving here. And some of you are just at the prospecting stage now. We see a lot of comments.
I have my list.
Yeah.
It's a very extensive list.
Yeah, it is an extensive, very comprehensive. So yeah, we wanted to just kind of pick up where we've been talking a lot about different communities and school zones and now garden zones, but also when you're here and you're starting to establish yourself in a community, kinds of things that you can expect. And we hope to get some interaction with questions. So
do you just want to hop on your computer there just to check?
You mean that's what I was going to do earlier?
Yeah, I know, but Anyway, we're just trying to make sure that this is working. We're doing it a slightly different way on the back end today. So I just like to make sure that we can see any questions or comments that you might have and bring them into the conversation. I guess the first big thing is like when you get here, what do you have to do to, establish residency life on PEI kind of thing. And of course, there's things like your car, getting that all set up here, health cards, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So one thing that's really different in PEI is that our car inspections, you have to do them every year. Mm-hmm. And that's different than a lot of other provinces. I know in Nova Scotia, it was like if you had like a new car, you only had to do it like once the car was like 5 years old or something. Anyway, It was like crazy different. But here you have to do it every year. Now, to get your inspection done, it is cheaper. It is only like $35 a year to get it done. But you do have to do it every year. So if you are coming from a province that has like a 2-year inspection sticker, say you are moving to PEI in July, you got your inspection done in May. The inspection, the way I understand it from Access PEI from when I did it, is that the first year of the inspection is valid here in PEI. Yep. But then as soon as you go into like that second year, then you have to get a new inspection here on PEI because we do need one every year.
Yeah, so they don't honor that 2-year rule.
They don't honor the 2 years, no. But they do honor the first year of the inspection. So if you got it done in May, you moved here in July, you would be due for an inspection the following May.
That's right.
Yeah, and again, it is only $35.
You get a slip from the garage that you took your car to, and you take it to the what is it, DMV? No.
Access
PEI.
Yeah.
And there's several locations around the island. And then you just give them a slip and they put it on your file and away you go.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah. And registration, I think, is usually about $100.
That's right.
$110 if I'm remembering my books correctly from last year.
That's right.
So not a huge expense when it comes to it. You do have to get like your car registered with the province. Usually you do that and your license around 3 months in, 4 months in. Usually that's about when you set up residency. And that's also when you can do your health card. I did see it I'm pretty sure like when I did it, I just got here at some point. I was like, okay, need to go get the cars done. I think I did it in January and we moved at the end of October. But I'm pretty sure I sent my health card information in just like as soon
Right
as
away.
Yeah.
And that was some of the feedback that a lot of you had, where people were asking, when do we actually apply for our health cards? And I, there was comments all across the board, but the overwhelming comment was that, get here and then just send it in, because there is, a queue and there's bureaucracy. So you'll wait a little bit anyway, but get it in and get that going.
I do know that if you're here, and it's the same as if you're even just visiting here and you need to go to the doctor, say you have a cold or something, then you can use your Nova Scotia health card, your BC health card from another province here and still go to like a walk-in clinic.
Yep.
That is an option. Or you can go to the Emergent. Of course, it's not.
Still use it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're living here and you haven't gotten your new PEI health card yet, but you do need to go to the doctor, you can still use your old health card.
They're pretty good about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you have littles, I will say that vaccinations are done through public health. So if you have littles that you need to get further vaccinations on, make sure you get from your doctor or your public health, wherever you are, the full list of their vaccinations that they've received. And then you can send that in to public health here. They'll take a look at it. They'll tell you what vaccinations your child is missing based on the vaccination schedule that PEI has, because they are slightly different, the vaccination schedules. So they called me up the other day and they're like, Ellie needs her 4-year vaccinations. She's almost 5. I'm like, great. And then they're like, and she needs her Hep B. Nova Scotia does Hep B when they're in like grade 6 or something. PEI does it from at a young age and just gets it done. So I know in other provinces you have to go to your doctor to get vaccinations, but here on PEI the vaccinations are done at public health. They also do a 4-year checkup before the kids get ready to go to school. They recommend that you get their eyes checked and you get a free pair of glasses if they need it. If they're younger than their kindergarten year. Yep,
Great points.
Yeah.
We do have some comments here that
Okay.
I'll just read through. So Pat Kane Yo just asked, how long is the wait for a PEI health card? So again, when you get here, just apply right away. It can take a couple
Like a
weeks.
month? Yeah, it's
But-
not a long wait.
No, they're going to mail it to you in the mail.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as Amy mentioned, whatever health card you have from where you've moved from, you can use that in the interim for up to 3 months. So you really do want to apply for your health card as soon as you get here. And again,
There's no benefit to not.
No, that's right.
Just when you're
Just get her
sitting
done.
down to check off your list of things to do.
But it won't take a terribly long time.
No.
And usually, even though the healthcare system here is a little flawed in areas, but we've heard that it was 6 months. No, not really.
Oh, no.
No, you won't have to wait that long. But the deal is, like, that might be coming from someone that didn't apply right away. So
Andrew did just say that they just applied and they were told 3 months. So
okay, so 3 months. All right. So
which is about the time that it takes to kind of like establish residency. That
Exactly.
3 month timeline is
Thanks,
about
Andrew.
when your residency switches
Yeah,
over.
exactly.
Kind of thing.
So in the meantime, again, use your away health card, and you can expect to be established with your new health card in 3 months or so. But do get it done as soon as you can, so you don't have to incur a gap. So thanks, Andrew, for that, and thanks for the question, Pat. Now, Jessica Sage, hi, Jessica, mentions that, let's see now.
It can take a while to get a family doctor, but are there clinics for things like mammograms, pap smears? Yes, so there is a women's clinic.
Yes.
And it is out of the nunnery building, the Mount. That's what I was looking for. There's a brand new women's medical clinic there. It's been open for like 3 years, 2 years, something like that. It's nice, it's lovely, it's bright, and you can just make an appointment there to get any of those referrals that you need. The women's clinic would then, like, you can go in there and get your pap done, and then they will refer you for a mammogram as well to the hospital.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a great question. There is, I know that, like, if I know somebody who needs to get in to see a doctor, like, for example, like prescription refills, if they need to get that prescription writ, the one thing that I recommend is that there is something called Skip the Waiting Room. It's the platform that they also use for booking any blood work and stuff like that at the hospital. But there is like a walk-in clinic downtown at the Friendly Pharmacy. It's the downtown walk-in clinic. And they use Skip the Waiting Room for like half of their appointments in the day. So what I tend to do is, like, I'll get on and I'll be ready and on it for 7 a.m. when the waiting room opens. And then I grab a virtual spot. And what they do is they actually, like, text you when it's time to come in for your appointment. So you don't have to be sitting at the waiting room the whole time waiting to get into the doc. They'll let you know when to head down. That's one of my favorite ways to get in to see a doc if I need to.
What I will say about that is that they can fill up quickly.
They can.
Amy and everyone else is waiting for that 7 o'clock to hit, and then they can fill up quite quickly. So the other thing that you can do if you want to be a little more on of it and you're not getting a spot online, is you can actually go and line up in person. And what they will do is, and I would get there early, so yes, it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but what they do is the same kind of approach, but just in person. They register you with a slot during the day, and then you can go back for your appointment. Now, the other thing I would recommend is with using Skip the Waiting Room, it'll also show you when clinics are taking place, if all throughout the province, and when they've been canceled. So if you're used to seeing a clinic regularly at a pharmacy near you or a walk-in clinic near you, and you're wondering why it's not happening, then check the Skip the Waiting Room page. They will indicate when one is happening or has been canceled. The other thing we should recommend, and we've talked about this a little bit more, in terms of getting healthcare or some kind of medical attention, or even referrals from a doctor, if you don't have a family doctor, is to use Maple PEI. The Maple app is a really good, useful app. You will not be charged if you affiliate the app with PEI, and just note that you have to go to like a specific way into Maple. Yeah, and we can make sure that link is here on the page, but you will not get charged for it. And what you can do is speak with the doctor that isn't necessarily on the island, and you can get prescriptions that way. You can get referrals, you can get blood work requisitions. There's all kinds of things that they can do for you if you're not able to see a doctor or physician here on the island. And then they direct you right to that particular physician. So referrals, I've used it quite a bit of time, just like many of you don't have a family doctor. So for me, it's been very helpful that way.
And what I will say is, like, I was using Maple when I moved here, and I was just starting to really understand, like, my headache journey, because I have chronic headaches. And so I would go onto Maple and they'd be like, oh, well, we can't really treat headaches on Maple, but they've referred me to a primary care clinic, which is basically like they have a doctor, they set up appointments for things that can't be treated or done over Maple. They'll actually see you in person. So that is a benefit and a helpful way to do it. Yeah, so maple was definitely on my list.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
What else have you got on your list? Any other questions about before we move on to a different subject? These are great questions.
Yeah, only other thing is like car insurance.
Yeah.
Make sure when you're moving here that you call your car insurance provider ahead of time and just let them know that you're moving, and they can transfer it. I am a huge fan of making things very easy and not a lot of extra work for myself.
Yep.
So I haven't actually shopped around for car insurance in like forever because I just transfer it.
Yep.
Yeah. So just going with your current provider because you have probably a good history with them, and maybe they've been providing insurance for you since you were 16, like me. So I just, anytime I move, I just let them know that my address has changed, and that should be good. We have talked about prescriptions many times before as well.
Yes.
Getting that prescription refill topped up before you move.
Yes, and I will say that when the best part, you can do that, and what I would recommend is getting repeats on your prescription because pharmacists now can fill prescriptions when they're repeated. So, and sometimes, like my pharmacist, will actually repeat subscriptions for me. They can make exceptions. So some do, some don't, but they're able to.
Sometimes if they know that you've been using that medicine for a while, they will just give it to you, and they'll say you need to go get a proper prescription refill.
Yeah, so because we've had kind of this gap in the ability for a lot of folks to get prescriptions and to seek and receive medical advice, pharmacists have been giving, and nurse practitioners have been giving more duties, I guess, or license to prescribe or treat. So do talk to a pharmacist as well. They'll tell you what they can and cannot do within their work.
I know that a lot of things like if you need eye drops, or if like you have like a bladder infection.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff that the pharmacist itself can just prescribe and treat for.
Yeah, and go find, like I would recommend too, find a pharmacy that you get to know and build a rapport with them. That's close to you, local to you, and learn their names. Say hello and be polite, and also just learn their what they can and cannot do within the pharmacy, because then they're going to remember you. And when you have a rapport with those healthcare practitioners, because they are healthcare practitioners, they are heavily licensed now, they're heavily trained. Those are good relationships to have. So make sure that when you're here and you're starting to make those first that stuff in the first year, get to know your pharmacist.
I'm definitely getting on a first name basis with
the
pharmacist assistants.
Absolutely. Mine have been so helpful. And I don't know, like when I needed assistance and I just couldn't, even through Maple, there were times when I just couldn't. Yeah, and they were just amazing. So
that's good.
Yeah.
What else? I do have some bad news.
What?
There's no Costco on PEI.
Oh my God. That's bad news for you.
I know.
I don't really care.
So
folks do.
Yeah. Sorry to be the bad news bearer, but there is no Costco on PEI. And Tyler told me the other day, my husband told me the other day, that Costco has put out an official announcement that they are not coming to PEI.
That's right. So this was a huge rumor.
Every year, there's like a new rumor that it is. And then somebody told me that they were at the PEI home show.
Yes, that's right.
They were at the home show. Really just fueled the rumors even more.
That's right. And I think that did the same thing. And then I heard that they had bought land in Cornwall. And then
I was like looking on the property registry of the province to see if I could find out where they bought, and I was like, they didn't buy anywhere.
So there's no Costco coming.
There is no Costco. But there is Kay's wholesaler, and that's just off the bypass in West Royalty. That is they do have a lot of bulk items.
Kay's.
Yes.
It's locally owned. It's a locally owned.
And then there is Price Mart as well, and I think there's like 4 or 5 Price Marts around Charlottetown, and they actually bring in a lot of Costco items. But I did notice the other day, and most of the things are about the price that you would get it for if you ordered the food on Costco.
That's right.
So
I know Buy Right Too is owned by Costco, so they get.
I don't think they're actually owned. I think they just like ship it in.
Oh, they ship it in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought because they had the Kirkland products.
Yeah,
and
they have they have a lot of the Kirkland products, just like Kay's does too, though.
Yeah.
Kay's has a lot of Kirkland
right.
products. But you can order all of like your dry goods, all of those things from Costco, and the price that you see online is the price of it shipped to your door.
Oh, great.
So assuming that you don't have that you spend over $75, because who doesn't spend at least $75 at Costco? Then you don't pay any extra shipping fees. It's just like what is there. And so yeah, there is no Costco. You do have to go to Moncton.
And on that note, Bernadette, hi hon, nice to see you again. You did comment, is there any word on the no fee for the bridge? So that ties into this next comment that because CBC had to clarify and Costco has now made a comment that they are not bringing one to here, to the island, the bridge is still, so this makes it even more incentive for the province to not probably get rid of the fee altogether, but decrease it significantly, because there was so much interest and hubbub about a Costco coming here. It's going to drive people to Moncton to go to Costco. So what they're actually trying to do is use that as incentive for the province to decrease the fee of the bridge.
Well, I mean, that was like an
an
election promise.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if that election promise for getting rid of the fee is going to.
I mean,
withhold.
they've been talking about
for decades.
For years.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we still don't really get an answer for that, but I have been hearing that is going to change from no fee to decreasing the fee. So, yeah.
It is a big thing to think about. Like most people, it's like, oh, Moncton's like 2 hours away, but it's like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's just me. I still do find that it does feel like it's quite a bit more of a drive to just go to Moncton than it actually is.
Well, it's New Brunswick, right?
I know.
So
it's a
like,
whole other province.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
Anyway, I will say that like if you are driving over to New Brunswick and stuff, one of the big things that kind of anybody here who's lived on PEI for a while knows is that the highway on the New Brunswick side of the bridge does get very dark, and there's a lot of moose in that area. And I will say that I think everybody here knows somebody who has like been in an accident there. And so it is something that like we try very, very hard to not be driving after dark, especially in the winter, on that stretch of highway, just because it is so dark.
Yep. It makes it a day trip. Oh, yeah, election.
It definitely is a day trip, and Halifax for sure is like it's like a thing. Like if you're going to Halifax, it's like an overnight thing.
It is an overnight thing. So also on that note, the closest IKEA is Halifax.
That's true.
So there's not an IKEA. For those of you who are getting established here and are used to being able to go and furnish your homes with IKEA because it's just so ready to use. It's so easy. You can order from the Halifax IKEA. I believe they.
I think there's like a drop shipment.
There's
location.
a drop shipment. So they've made that a little more streamlined because the closest one is Halifax to PEI. So for those of you again who furnish with IKEA stuff and just want to have that, it's a little more expensive, but it's a drop shipping situation, and they made it as streamlined as they could. Yeah. So, and then otherwise for furnishings and getting established here.
Yeah, there's some good local stores if you need furniture, but I do find that like the selection isn't great.
Nope. You really, if you want, especially those of you with kiddos and you want to set up like.
IKEA's in Halifax. There's a Struck Tube in Moncton. Moncton has some pretty good shopping for stuff like that.
That's right.
One thing to note is if you have something like a BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi or those kind of luxury car brands, there are no dealerships here on PEI. So if you have to get those serviced, then you have to go off island.
That's right.
So we have your basic car brands.
We have a Volkswagen, right?
We do have a Volkswagen. We have Kia, Honda, Mazda, Toyota,
Subaru.
Ford, GM,
Chrysler.
Dodge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't have
Toyota.
things like Acura or Lexus or the higher end brands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That was
What
that.
else is in your list?
Seasonality. So I would thought like it's pretty much June and it's really just turning into like shorts weather here. Like this week is like the first week that the kids have worn shorts.
Yeah.
Like the whole week. But and they're still in the mindset of checking with us. Is it a shorts day, or is it a pants day?
It's always a pants day. You can't really get away with no pants.
That's true.
Yeah. What else is on your list?
Well, the seasonality thing, like, yeah.
We get all 4 seasons here. We just get them all. So
I've been finding it's been really windy.
Yeah.
Like
really,
windier. Yep. Like PEI is a windy province already. And I don't know, I've just been finding like the wind this year has been really bad. If you think about it, we're kind of pretty exposed to the Gulf of St. Lawrence, off the seaway, and the wind, there's no big mountains to break it up. There's not huge amounts of trees. So we're kind of just like a sandbar in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and so it is windy here. And the wind in the winter is like the big thing that I find. Like it could be a nice day except for windy. And then it's just too cold.
But that's subjective too. Like for instance, living out in the country and it's mosquito season until about mid-July, right?
Black flies too.
Black flies too. So mid-July, I think someone had actually asked on the page if I think it was Allison B who mentioned that she was wondering about the black fly season. Right. So black fly season and mosquito season are mid-July, and then they start to calm down. But when the wind is up like this too, there's a benefit to that. It's going to keep those flies away for the large amount anyway. And those of you who are sensitive to heat perhaps and bug bites, maybe that's
another season is jellyfish season.
Yeah.
They go away. So
but they're predominant on the North Shore. So if you're visiting the beaches on the North Shore, because they come in from the ocean, right? So they're not as much on the South Shore because they don't necessarily travel through the strait the same way than if they're coming through the ocean.
But they will go away.
They will go away. Yeah.
Usually in August.
That's right.
They're here for a couple of weeks in July, and then they're gone in August.
So just be mindful if you're up there swimming with your kiddos or with your dogs or something. There are certain beaches, I can't remember which ones, but even on just Cavendish Beach or Brackley Beach, they can just be fairly active in the water.
Yep.
Yeah. We used to huck those at each other when we were kids.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was
and
really
also
fun
gross.
until you get to stung. But,
and else? Then
are mosquitoes and flies everywhere in some areas of the island. Hi, Yana. Yeah, so just to recap, mosquitoes and black flies are pretty much everywhere. The wind will mitigate some of that depending on where you are on the island, but also they really are only active until about mid-July. They're around. You're going to get them.
House flies are a big thing too, especially in older houses. You get the big buzz flies. And most people just have their windows open and stuff. So
that's right.
But
mosquitoes. What do you do if you get stung by a jellyfish? Well,
rub sand on it.
Rub sand on it.
Don't pull a Friends moment and you don't know French. She doesn't know.
No,
Friends.
that's not true. I know the reference. I've watched 2 episodes.
One of them, the jellyfish episode.
No, but that is a lore.
Yeah,
like that's actually.
It is.
Friends didn't invent that.
I know.
Okay.
I know. But we just rub sand on it if you get stung. Some wet sand usually over dry sand. Yeah,
I would do that, and then you just do the thing. Sometimes I've even common. I like warm things. Common.
The South Shore is definitely warmer than the North Shore.
Yes, that's right.
And you also have that's where all those like long sandbars are. Is on the South Shore. So if you're looking at beaches like
Pat said it, or
there you go.
That's right. Sorry, let's do a quick
South Shore. South Shore at low tide, just the sandbars for miles, and that's where we tend to go. Is more South Shore, just so that the kids can run and play in the dirt.
Yeah, if you have dogs, or if you like clam digging, or you know,
Yeah.
sometimes even picking oysters. You can pick wild oysters here, but I would recommend just checking if there are any warnings about the shellfish in that area. But yeah, there's lots of wild foraging to be done, and that South Shore is so beautiful. It's really lovely.
I do have some PEI customs while we're at it, and that is setting day.
Oh,
So,
setting day. Okay.
Just so you know, there's 2 lobster seasons. This kind of goes into seasonality too.
Watch your fingers there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lobster season first opens in the beginning of May, and it goes through June, and then it shuts down for the molting of the lobsters, and then it opens back up again in August. And setting day is a big thing especially for the first one in May, for the May 1st. They usually go out like 5-7 days before the opening day of season, and that's when they set their traps. It's a big thing, especially in a lot of those fishing villages, that everybody turns up to watch all the boats go, because they're not allowed to leave until like 5 a.m. on setting day.
That's right.
And all the boats then head out into the dark, cold, oceany waters to set their traps, and they're all laden down with their
That's
traps.
right. And then I think they do watch them come in too on the setting day, don't they?
Well, yeah, the boats will make multiple trips out that day during setting day usually. So the boats are coming and going all day. But yeah, setting day is a big thing. And then like a lot of people make a big lobster feast event out of that first haul, that catch that they haul in. So that's a big thing for Islanders.
And if you're also, another big thing attached to setting day and lobster season is the price, the market price, you know, so that's always a little bit of a contention, simply because we're talking about the livelihood of several tradespeople within a short season, right? They need to make as much money as they can while the picking is good. Yeah, Bernadette says it's a beautiful sight seeing them all go out. Absolutely, yeah. So if some of you want to just kind of embrace that tradition when you're here, and if you find yourself here next May, then by all means participate, because it's quite charming.
It's also fun just to go down to the wharf and buy your lobster like right off the fisherman.
I know. That's
the
how
kids
we used
love
to
it.
do it.
Yeah, the
Oh
kids
my
love
God.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't had a lobster feed. I know, we got to get on
What
it.
are you doing?
I don't know. Moving. What else?
Next thing I have is if you're coming here and you're renting,
Yes.
there's a couple things that you should know.
Yes.
We do have pet-friendly apartments and not pet-friendly apartments. So in the listing, if it's pet-friendly, trust me, it'll be like one of the first things at the top of that listing. But landlords are allowed to say that it is not pet-friendly. So there isn't, I'm pretty sure I heard in Ontario, like there is no pet bans allowed on rentals.
It's the same in Halifax. There's no pet bans allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here you can.
No pets means no pets.
No pets means no pets. And some condos, beyond even like a landlord, if they, there is the condo boards that can limit the size of the pets that they even allow in the building, which is usually around 40 pounds from what we've seen. So that's something. And buildings here on PEI, unless it's like an old building before this, they are non-smoking, and that means no smoking on anywhere on the grounds. They might have like a designated smoking area set up, but no smoking is no smoking anywhere on the apartment building grounds.
And no smoking of anything.
Yeah.
No substances.
Yes.
Not even some tradition. Well, that's not true. We did have a tenant a while ago who did ask for permission to smudge.
Right.
And they were granted. So there's certain things that, you know, it's a conversation. Anyway, but yeah, good point. And what about, so you're going to need tenant insurance as well. If you're coming here to rent, you need to find out about tenant insurance. And it's the same if you're homeowner, you need homeowner insurance. But
I just say call your regular insurance provider.
Yeah, they'll provide you with a tenancy policy. It's usually quite reasonable. Yeah. But
Yeah. I thought we could talk about a couple of the fun things that happen throughout the year too.
Fun? Okay.
But like winter dine.
Winter dine.
The fun is all around food and stuff. fun food. So Winter Dine, it happens in January, February. It's a local kind of food festival that the restaurants will be a part of, and they put together a Winter Dine menu. And it's kind of just one of those things to help like keep the restaurant businesses kind of continuing on in the winter. PEI for many years now has had a highly dense amount of restaurants compared to our population because we do rely so heavily on tourism. So we do have a lot of restaurants, and then to keep those ones that are still open during the winter going, they do a number of food festivals throughout the year.
It's lovely. And on the patios, so usually patios will be open during the summer, but in the winter, during the Winter Dine, a lot of the establishments have created these like outdoor dining areas where they're covered in domes with heaters, and they create these beautiful little, almost Icelandic looking eating dining areas outside.
Dining experiences.
It's really sweet. So that's always fun to participate in. You know, and my dad always said growing up, there's no bad weather, there's just bad gear. So if you get yourself dressed up and go do and participate, there's always stuff going on. 4 seasons a year, there's stuff going on the island to participate in. What else do you got for season?
So after Winter Dine, Jack Frost, which is a winter festival, which I don't know how they still do it because it seems like every year there's not enough snow to like do the massive sledding hills and stuff that they talk about.
That's right.
So Jack Frost is another one. The next one after that I thought of is Burger Love. And so Burger Love is in April. It's for the whole month of April. There's like 60 to 70 different places usually.
All over the island.
All over the island from tip to tip. They basically have to make a burger out of island beef. And then they have to source as many local products as they can to like build their burger. And then everybody goes out and they eat burgers and they vote on them, and somebody is crowned the Burger Love winner of the year. Best
Burger Love royalty.
Yeah.
That's great.
There's another one called Fall Flavors.
Yes, Fall Flavors is lovely.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Very similar to Winter Dine. But even further, that like they'll do different experiences. Like I've gone to Shucking. The oyster night. And
oyster night.
It was literally like a sip and slurp.
Oh,
a sip and slurp.
Yes.
That was 3 years ago now.
Yes.
Last year we went to a smaller pared back version of it. It wasn't as good.
Right.
But it's just basically like try all the local beers and eat as many oysters as you can.
Yeah.
And I think I probably ate like 60 oysters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was very sludgy, slurpy in my belly. But we do have a really strong craft beer and craft ciders and craft seltzers. We have a lot.
Lots of breweries, lots of brew pubs, and little gastro pubs that are also coupling with good menus from local. There's just, you have to go out and find them. There's a lot of, and Bernadette, to your point, there's a lot of budget friendly restaurants, and I would seek out the local ones first because they are catering to a local community, and if they've done the research and opened up in that community, they're kind of looking at, you know, the cap rate for budgeting and what people can spend. So
Bernadette, what are you thinking as a budget friendly restaurant? Because that can be, you know,
across the board. I mean,
budget friendly. Like I'm a huge fan of Boom Burger. We actually went to Boom Burger yesterday for lunch.
Yep. That's fun. And that's burgers and fries.
Burgers and fries.
There's budget friendly, like there's all kinds of family restaurants.
We took the kids to Maids a couple weeks ago, like Maid Marian's.
Sam's.
Yeah,
right?
Sam's.
Is
like just like some old diners that have been around for a
Yeah.
long time.
They're real staples.
We could not eat all the food that we got at Maids when we were
Oh
there.
yeah. No, there's some stuff that is just great, and they're just these old staples, and they've been around for decades. And they're
I don't want to be spending like $100 for a seafood dish.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh goodness.
absolutely,
Yeah. Like if you're talking like a fish and chips, you're probably looking at $20-$25 for that. Do you know where we always go? We always go to the place in Cardigan, Clam Diggers.
Oh, it's good. It's fun.
That one. It used to be in Georgetown. They moved to Cardigan maybe like 5-7 years ago. And it's kind of one of those places that it's just been like, this is where you go for a not super crazy expensive. The other one is the Blue Mussel Cafe in North
that's great.
Rustico. Those are two great places we've been. And like, yeah,
Yep.
they have a lobster poutine, remember, at Blue Mussel Cafe. I am such a poutine girl. So if you...
I love the cafes and bakeries. Yes, you're right.
Yes. Receiver is one of our other go-to places, so Receiver Coffee. That's where we tend to hit up, or the Gallery Cafe.
Yeah, we meet clients there quite a bit too. It's just nice. Like, you get here and take some little day trips and just kind of explore and see what tickles your fancy, because there are so many. And I say this having moved here after growing up here. I moved back here in 2021, and you moved here in 22.
Yep.
And your husband has grown up here. But even the changes over those, like a couple of decades, like where my house is used to be a cow field.
Well,
yeah, I know. But the restaurants and the small businesses and the pubs and things that are catering to family is just, it's lovely. There's this whole generation of it happening.
Oh yeah, Finfolk Food is another one out in Grand Chakotay at the Blackbush Resort.
Thanks, Andrew. That's great.
That's a great place.
Ooh,
I haven't been there, but I've heard really good things.
Good. I love that Andrew and Miranda just moved here from out west, and you guys have already embraced island life, and I love that you're pitching in with some of your finds. That's awesome.
Yeah, we should go to Finfolk.
Yes.
We should plan something up that way,
yeah,
so that we have a reason to go there.
Has anyone asked about the internet options? We're moving to Riverton in a few weeks. Okay. Let's hop over to that, because that's going to be a hot topic.
Yeah.
So much like cell phone companies, Canada has very few options. If you were in Europe, it's dirt cheap. I'm using this as a comparison, then, and I'll get to the point. If you're in Europe, you're dirt cheap for internet and cell phone options, because there's just so many competitors. It drives the price down. That said, Canada, and specifically PEI, is quite a bit different. So you've got like the big five here. For internet.
Yeah, Bell. Eastlink.
Fido is owned by Eastlink, or
do you get internet through Fido?
No,
just mobility.
Bell internet, but now there is Purple Cow, which is based out of Nova Scotia.
You had Purple Cow.
I had Purple Cow in Stratford near Charlottetown, and that was very good. It was very inexpensive. I had a basic plan for $69 a month, including taxes. So Purple Cow, and they were good service. Purple Cow I found was great. There's also Red Sands Internet, which is an island company. They're newer, and they service more rural areas. I heard a little bit of feedback about them having kind of unstable internet connections here and there, like out on Breadalbin, they're not great. They have some brownouts and stuff. So, but they might be better options for different areas. So there's Red Sands, there's Purple Cow, there's Bell Fiber Op. If you need like a really kick-ass connection, then would recommend Fiber Op. That's basically all across the island. There
are still some places that they don't have Fiber Op.
But they've reached pretty darn
far. They are doing better.
Yeah. And you can get whole packages with them as well.
Yes.
Home packages. Sorry, cut you off.
Yeah.
Eastlink.
I hate Bell though.
I know. I signed up with Bell recently after using Purple Cow, which is an independent company. And the only reason is because we needed a strong connection. And we're way out in the country. So that was our option. It wasn't bad for price-wise. We actually found it quite comparable. But yeah, and then you're talking Eastlink, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I have been told that Eastlink does have, when it comes to cell phones, they have the most towers, I think is what they told us. Right. So I live in West Royalty in Charlottetown, and I used to have to take my phone calls outside on the back deck because I didn't get enough service inside the house. So we were with Bell. We have switched to Eastlink because we could literally see an Eastlink tower out our front door. So yeah, that's who we're with. If I know that my in-laws up at East Point, they use Starlink for their internet, and they have nothing bad to say about it. They have really good coverage. If you're rural and you really need good strong coverage, Eastlink or Starlink might be the best bet.
Yep, that's pretty prominent.
And there is some rebates if you have to purchase some equipment through Starlink to get hooked up because you don't have strong enough internet capability.
Oh, there's Elsa B. Hey, hon. Are the internet fiber optic lines above or underground? I've heard that the wind can affect above ground fiber optic cables, causing latency problems, especially if you need high speed, reliable internet.
I don't know if they're above ground or below ground.
We had ours actually put in and it was above ground.
Okay.
But I don't know that that's across the board for everyone. That's a good question. We can follow up with you on that, Elsie, because I know you'll need, when you come to the island, you're going to need a really strong, reliable connection. Yeah, that's a great question.
I do find that our Eastlink is a little bit slower than our Bell fiber up before, especially like when my husband's doing like some really big uploads for his work because he works from home. So I have noticed a bit of slowdown in it, but I don't need a super strong.
Yeah, I mean, you and I work with pretty basic
email
connections, but email. Pat, you did mention that in Summerside you switched from Eastlink to fiber op because Eastlink was dropping a few channels, etc. So yeah, all right. So good points here. Great question, Elsa B, about the cables and how they're put in. Our bundle includes phone, long distance, basic T and unlimited telephone and for $155 a month for Bell. Yeah, that's a great package. You're gonna find a lot of comparables similar. We have Starlink and it's amazing. They are above Bernadette. Yeah, okay. So Elsa B,
with some of the newer subdivisions, you're gonna see the buried lines, but but if you're gonna be remote, it's probably gonna be up above.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yep, that's true. Okay, good questions.
So one of the funny things about Islanders is that when you meet them, we have to like find a connection point. We can't just like exist as two people. There must be
someone we know.
There must be someone that we know in connection. So it's gonna be like, oh, where do you work?
Yes.
Right? That's gonna be the first one. Oh, I know. Do you know so and so? They're my cousin. There's always like this need to make a connection point. And it's kind of one of the things that actually like fuels the island spirit. I find because it's not even just like, I don't want people to think that it's a way that they're like trying to like show that you're from away. It's really not. They're trying to actually like build a stronger connection with you when they're asking you these questions. And oftentimes what comes out of it is that they can help you with something.
That's right.
Right? When, you know, you're getting to know somebody and then you find out that their son is an engineer and is doing this kind of work. And the next thing you know, you're introducing your husband to this person because they could work together and, you know, whatever. And it's just like, oh, like we never would have gotten to know like that connection if we hadn't made those connection points and had that conversation about like, who's your family? Who are you related to? Oh, yeah. Do you know this person?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then the other thing that happens if you can't find that connection point, they really want to know where you're from, what brought you here.
They'll actually see it if they know anybody from where you're from too.
That's
it's
right.
like, oh, you're from this town. Do you know this person?
It's wonderful. It really is a spirited thing. You're right. Ultimately, go out and find those and encourage those conversations because it can be daunting for people that have moved maybe from a place like Toronto where you really don't smile. I mean, Toronto's an amazing city. Don't get me wrong. But it's a very different vibe. You don't necessarily smile at strangers or have random conversations when you're walking down the street.
Oh, I totally have random conversations. You stop everybody with a dog.
Yes, well here, it's just normal. That sense of like, and if you're used to kind of securing your privacy or having, you know, clinging onto a sense of anonymity in a bigger city, you're going to come here and that'll be challenged a little bit. So take it with a grain of salt and lean into it as much as you can and know that it's just culturally what people do here. Like Amy said, it's more of a welcoming committee type of approach than trying to be nosy or, or make you feel like an outsider. It really is about, how do we know each other? Great, welcome, and you'll find those little messages in the questions that you get asked and the ways that.
Or it could be like, oh, you work at the hospital. Do you know this person? Like, it really is just about making connections. And talk with people. Sometimes when I'm feeling over talked and I go grocery shopping, I'll specifically put my AirPods in so that I don't have to talk to people, because we do a lot of talking.
Yeah, and you can feel overstimulated.
Yeah, so I do that sometimes because I could go to the grocery store and just run into like 10 people that I know.
It's true.
And then you're having a conversation with 10 people.
No. But you really just want to get
peanut butter. Really wanted to get there and get out. Yeah,
that's right. No, that's a fair point, and that's across the board.
Yeah.
Bernadette says Island Women is a great setup for so many interests.
Oh, that's that. That social. Group.
Yeah, there's a social group called Island Women. I think it's a Facebook page that you're referring to, Bernadette. Bernadette, could you maybe pop that link in there to that group? That might be awesome for others to participate. Thanks for bringing that up. And then Pat Kane Yo says, just ran into this today. I called Rose Cottage Antiques in Summerside, and the lady on the phone told me she was from Alberta. See, like that, and you're from Alberta, so that it's just crazy that happens.
Yeah.
Even better when the connection Islanders are trying to make are with nicknames that come from family.
Oh my gosh, Kim. So
cute.
My grandmother is from Newfoundland. Okay. And my husband's grandmother also from Newfoundland.
Oh, this is right.
So when we got the grandmothers, when we got engaged and we got the grandmothers together for dinner, they did the whole like, who's your family or whatever, and they were making these connections because two old Newfie ladies just have to do that too. And then they realized that they were connected to Auntie Vera, both of them. And I just had to have a moment and be like, hold up. Are we all related to Auntie Vera? And is this now engagement? Probably not a good idea. Needless to say, nobody's actually related to Auntie Vera, but
that's funny.
It was just like a close family friend who was named Auntie Vera out of respect for both of us.
That's funny.
But that's just how it goes, right? You got to find the connection.
Yep.
And you got to, foster that relationship.
That's right.
So
there's a lot of playfulness in that conversation too. I think Islanders just get a kick out of it because.
Well, it's become such a trope now that like comedians, like Canadians, they do make fun of us for it. Who's your father?
Who's your father, Pat? You got it.
But
That's right.
Excuse me. So it is a bit of a trope. And we can share it.
Yeah, no worries.
It is a bit of a trope, but it is still very true. And
Yeah, it's charming.
Yeah.
All right. So, what else you got there? And
that's kind of like where I'm out of stuff.
Good. Well, this was a good session. I hope you guys felt like you had some.
My great uncle Gussie.
His sons are referenced. What are referenced? Manny Gussie, Mike Gussie. Some people I don't know. The real last names, Old School West and Summerside. That's cute.
Yeah.
The Islands Girls Social. Okay, perfect.
The thing that I'll say is like lean into the local small town businesses. If you can. I understand that sometimes those businesses might be a little bit more expensive or things like that. But for just like your everyday things, like the pharmacy, if you're living rural, go to the convenience store just up the road. Like there's a lot of like convenience stores that are not just like a needs, but are actually like they have local farm vegetables, they have grocery items and stuff like that. And I think of like, because I spend a lot of time out in Bonshaw in that area, there's Gases in New Haven, they're on the highway, there's Clothes up on the Colville Road. Like they're just like these markets that sell a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's right. And they're great. They're good resources to have. The other thing I'll say is, yes, lean into island traditions, but don't hesitate to share your traditions wherever you come from. This place has become such a diverse island, and it's wonderful. So wherever you're moving here from, seek out community members that share things with you that that you want to experience and continue experiencing, so that you feel at home as well. And don't hesitate to share where you come from and your traditions with Islanders, because the more we embrace that, the more diverse this island becomes. And it's really, having grown up here, I mean, quite frankly, in my high school, there was one African American Canadian kid. There was one. And that was a long time ago. And I'm glad it was, because it's a lot more diverse now.
Yeah.
We also have a very traditionally strong Lebanese community. It's been here for, the Lebanese community has been a real staple in island culture, and for centuries, or not centuries, but decades and decades and decades. So if you, you know, there's a real Eastern presence here as well. It's just it's awesome.
Yeah.
Love local baked goods a lot. Me too. Yeah, I know.
And yeah. I will say that, like, I know that the island is kind of getting a bad rap for not being very welcoming when people ask questions about moving here, especially on groups like Ask PEI. But don't listen to them. They're just kind of upset about just, I mean, a lot of different communities in Canada across the country are having similar struggles. So don't let it stop you here. I do feel that I feel like it's an online thing. It's not a thing for people when you're here. Like, if you're actually here, living here, integrating into our everyday world, like, I don't feel like that perception is still there.
No.
Because they take you as who you are.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
You know.
And that's part of the reason, again, we come back to this every live. That's kind of why we wanted to create this page, is that we just kind of poo-poo the negative content that can be on some of the other PEI pages. And look, they're all trying to do a similar thing, but you really just let that negative commentary slide off your back, because you don't need that when you're starting your life somewhere else. You just really want to be you know, feeling welcomed. So
So
good.
Share some sugar with your neighbor.
That's right. If you bake bread, you know, I remember years ago, I received a loaf of bread and a bag of salt. And this was a Finnish tradition, and my neighbor was a Finnish woman, baked a lot of bread, and this was her gift on my doorstep. And it's just a little note that said, "Welcome from PEI." And
that's lovely.
Yeah, it was lovely. I remember that for the rest of my life.
There you go.
Yeah, simple. Well, my friends,
it's been an hour almost.
That's good.
Yeah, should probably go. We can talk for an hour.
I know.
We have to go stage. We're at a semi-detached unit in
East Royalty
of Charlottetown.
Yeah.
It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. If you were planning to rent something like this, it'd probably be $2,200 to $2,500. This one's brand new. If you are looking to buy something like this, you're probably looking at the $375 to $400 range here in Charlottetown. Yeah. So
we're going to spend part of the afternoon staging this new listing, and but we're glad we could make some time for you guys. And you guys were great participation. That's awesome. Yeah. So don't forget that you can continue to look at these, and you tend to post.
I actually upload them to YouTube.
Yeah, and then we'll share the link. So in our featured section of the page, you'll always see the live sessions that we've had and when we're having new live sessions. And that's where Amy posts the link for YouTube pages. So you can refer back to, I know it's a little bit long-winded, you might have to skip through to kind of get to the section you're looking for, or just feel free to message us or ask, you know, your folks on the page here. But don't ever hesitate to message us directly if you have very specific questions, or if you're just, you know, if you prefer to just chat with one person. That's what we're here for, but more or less we just want to make sure that people are engaging and informing each other and sharing the resources. So awesome job, you guys.
Awesome. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend, and we will chat soon.
Go play outside.
Bye.